So one of the big things that came out quite a while ago is ARP Poisoning. ARP Poisoning is basically you can execute what's called a man-in-the-middle attack and sniff credentials. Basically, you're passing all the traffic from a victim through yours into a gateway and out throughout onto the internet. So one of the things is it might be an old attack, but it's still a valid attack vector. A lot of the companies don't protect against it because they've got to upgrade their equipment. A lot of it, basically you're looking at a budgetary constraint to replace all your network devices. It's got to handle the extra load to do something like a dynamic ARP inspection. So the ways to protect against it is something like a port rate limiting, which you can set on a switch fairly easily. Dynamic ARP inspection, where the switch will actually build a database and compare the IP address for each host to its MAC address. And then when an ARP request or an ARP reply goes out, it'll compare that to its database. And then at that point, if it's not a valid reply or request, it'll drop the traffic. So those are really the two most effective ways to do it. Again, the budgetary constraint of doing something like dynamic ARP inspection and upgrading your hardware is normally where people fail. So it's still a valid attack vector. It's the same as anything, finding any other exploit. You definitely need to go after it. What I did is I wrote a script that's called Easy Creds. It's out there. It runs on Linux. It's recently been added to the Backtrack 5 repos. And it launches different tools like EtterCap, which is a man-in-the-middle SSL sniff. So it'll sniff the credentials and grab those for you. And as you go through there, that's really... It's not like when you get a credential, you totally own the network. There's still a lot of work to be done to escalate your privileges at that point.
But at least you can get to that level and you can do whatever.
So once you basically, when you're doing an internal assessment and you come in, if you can plug into the network and you can run a VM and your host at the same time, then most of the time you're going to know there's no port security in place, where they're saying one MAC per port, one MAC address per port, to block the traffic, because that's another somewhat effective way. You can still change your MAC address or clone a MAC address.
Gotcha.
But at that point, you know,
some level,
you're on the network. If you can fire up the VM and the host at the same time and route traffic, then you know that you can pretty much execute a man-in-the-middle attack.
Cool. All right, Eric, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Great
very
info.
much.